Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Wednesday, July 2nd. Today we will continue to have significant lightning activity across the Great Basin, both through today and tomorrow. These will be our highest coverage days of lightning this week. They will be a mix of wet and dry. We already have some ongoing thunderstorms over southern Nevada this morning, which have produced some wetting rains in some areas. Otherwise, the mix of wet and dry thunderstorms with gusty outflow winds will continue, where again, some areas will get some wetting rains and others will just see a slight increase in humidity and some gusty outflow winds today. Similar conditions on Thursday. By Friday, we'll likely see wetter thunderstorms, especially across Idaho and Wyoming. So we'll see more of a significant increase in precipitation, a little bit more widespread, especially for the mountain areas. Otherwise, drier air moves in starting Thursday over western areas of Nevada, along with an increase in winds. We will see wind gusts in the 30 to 35 mile per hour range, and these winds become more widespread and stronger on Friday, along with decreasing relative humidity. So definitely significant fire potential, both with new ignitions from lightning and also a growth from the wind and the drier conditions moving in later in the week towards the holiday. Over the last 24 hours, we saw a significant amount of lightning over mainly the eastern half of the Great Basin, also up north. This lightning over southern Nevada has been occurring this morning, and then we had significant lightning along the Sierra Front yesterday as well. These thunderstorms were wetter along the Sierra Front. We saw some areas receive over 1/4 of an inch of rainfall. Otherwise, a mix of wet and dry with these thunderstorms, no heavier amounts reported over the eastern areas, but likely in some of these more congested areas of thunderstorms, there were some areas of wetting rains for sure. Over the last 24 hours, we saw moderate initial attack with 21 new fires for over 3,000 acres across the Great Basin and over 1,200 acres of growth on our large fires. We had a couple of new large fires over western Nevada and one over western Nevada and a couple over southern Idaho. And again, these were getting a lot of initial attack across the area as well. Over the last 7 to 14 days, aside from the recent moisture, very dry conditions. The ERC percentile map from yesterday shows ERCs generally above the 90th to 97th percentile, almost region-wide. Some of the areas up in central and western Idaho and northwest Nevada aren't seeing ERCs quite as high, but they are definitely on the rise. We will see some modifications to these ERCs with the moisture over the next couple of days, but then drier air and breezy air returns, so we'll see those ERCs going back up quickly. As far as the satellite loop from this morning, you can see quite a bit of cloud cover and moisture over the eastern half of the region. So again, will be the focus of showers and thunderstorms today. Definitely a lot more clearing over western areas, but we will see thunderstorms develop over parts of western Nevada as we get later in the afternoon as well. Smoke forecast, generally a lesser smoke impacts just with the moisture in place, but we will see obviously some smoke depending on the activity of our large fires. And by this afternoon, we do have a trough of low pressure that's moving into the west coast. This will help push that moisture further north across the Great Basin today. So again, we will continue to see the scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms. We do have some high risk over eastern Nevada and over western Wyoming for the lightning. This will still be a mix of wet and dry, but these are some of the target areas that maybe haven't seen as much lightning coverage recently or the moisture, so we could certainly see some new ignitions. Today, winds will generally be in the effect of gusty outflow winds. We could see some breezy winds from northern Nevada up into central Idaho in the 20 to 25 mile per hour range. But again, much of the wind potential today will be associated with thunderstorm activity. And then relative humidity will be on the rise over southern and eastern Nevada into Utah with the moisture in place. So we'll see many areas remain above 20% today. The drier side will definitely be western northern Nevada up into much of Idaho, where the relative humidity will be higher than recent days, but still be dropping into the mid-teens. Temperatures today will tick downwards from what we saw yesterday. Our max temperatures yesterday were over 100 degrees up north, so we'll see more mid to upper 90s and definitely cooler in some of the areas that have cloud cover and showers and thunderstorms today. You can see the thunderstorm potential here on the right, so quite a bit of activity expected in some of the same areas we saw yesterday. Again, we'll see some activity along the Sierra Front and also up into central Idaho. As we move into Thursday, we will see that drier air move in with the trough off the west coast, also increasing winds along the Sierra Front, so we do have some high risk for those gusty winds and lowering relative humidity, especially with the holiday coming in later this week and with the recent lightning, certainly could see some holdovers. Otherwise, significant fire potential will be moderated temporarily over southern areas and even up north and eastern areas with the moisture still in place for another day of thunderstorms. Winds, you can see here, strongest along the Sierra front, so we will see those wind gusts around 35 miles per hour. We also may see some gustier west winds over parts of southern Utah, but we'll still see higher moisture with thunderstorms in place, so relative humidity will likely remain above 20% in much of that area. Otherwise, higher humidity up north, and we will see those gusty outflow winds, but probably not as widespread, just with the moisture setting in. We don't tend to get as strong outflows when we have higher humidity. On Thursday, temperatures will decrease a little bit more temperatures in the 80s to low 90s. And you can see our lightning potential, still quite a bit of lightning across the Great Basin for at least elevated initial attack and the possibility of new large fires. By Friday, the drier air spreads across many areas of the Great Basin with the exception of up north and maybe the far east. So we will see decreasing relative humidity and also that increase in wind. So we have quite a few areas of high risk for gusty winds and low relative humidity for July 4th over western, northern Nevada, also over southern Nevada and into western Utah. There may be a few more areas added in here, depending on how much rainfall they get over the next couple of days, but certainly could be a little bit more widespread. Otherwise, moderated fire potential up north with the moisture continuing to remain in place for Idaho and Wyoming. You can see the wind picture here on the left. Again, pretty widespread wind gusts over 30 or 35 miles per hour expected. And we will see that coupled with relative humidity dropping back down into the single digits in teens. So again, impacts for our existing incidents by Friday and also any new holdovers popping up from the recent lightning. Otherwise, up north across Idaho and Wyoming, relative humidity will remain quite high. We'll probably have some pretty widespread areas of wetting rains, so relative humidity remaining above 30 or 35%. Temperatures on Friday will drop down as that trough moves in. We will see, even though we'll see windy conditions and decreasing relative humidity, we will see the temperatures drop down. Otherwise, thunderstorms, again, most focused in the north, still over parts of northern and eastern Utah. The 3-day amount of precipitation, you can see kind of a mixture, the heavier, more widespread wetting rains likely occurring later this week over central and eastern Idaho and Wyoming. Otherwise, a mix of wet and dry, so some areas, especially in the mountainous areas, will see areas of wetting rains with these thunderstorms, but again, still pretty spotty, especially as you go from western Utah west across Nevada. Looking at the general weather pattern for the next 4 to 7 days, starting Saturday. So Saturday, we will see a trough move in, so we'll see drier air kind of region-wide as that trough moves across the north. Sunday, we could see some clouds and additional showers or thunderstorms across Idaho, but otherwise very dry air in place for the rest of the Great Basin going into early next week. The next return of moisture might be sometime towards the Tuesday, Wednesday time period coming in from the south. Otherwise, no high risk Saturday through Tuesday, and you can see gradually increasing fire potential back to moderate across many areas of the Great Basin later in the weekend and going into early next week. 7-day total amount of precipitation, not much different than the 3-day, with much of the weather happening in the next few days. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from July 9th through the 15th, shows above normal temperatures continuing, and any above normal precipitation signature will be in the southwest and far southern eastern areas of the Great Basin, more tied to monsoon moisture pulses. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.